Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Richards. Tonight I'll be reviewing the local press with Jane Wenham-White, fundraising manager for St Andrews Hospice in Grimsby. But first, it's over to James Dunn for the news headlines.
Hello. In the headlines today, a celebrity chef says budding young chefs competing in Grimsby show the industry has a promising future. And a local crew is powering up to go whole steam ahead as the Superstock boat race comes to the Humber. But first, a 54-year-old woman was assaulted and robbed after taking money out of a cash machine in Scunthorpe. It was 10 to midnight on Wednesday when the woman got cash from the machine on Doncaster Road. A stocky woman around 5'5" then reached over, assaulted the woman and made off with the cash, and a man of slim build and dark clothing. Police want to talk to a man walking his dog who used the cash machine shortly afterwards and may have seen what happened. Celebrity chef Jean-Christophe Novelli was the guest judge at Grimsby as Grimsby hosted the UK Young Seafood Chef of the Year competition on Friday. The 17th annual contest took place at Grimsby Institute, welcoming hopeful young chefs from colleges all over the country, hoping to take the title. And the Frenchman was happy with what he saw, telling Estuary TV that competitions such as these are important for the future of the industry.
They've been given some fantastic fish, for me, from Grimsby. So, they've learned something from college, with some great people behind them, and they just have to express themselves. Therefore, the last thing they want is to interfere this wonderful achievement. And somewhere, somehow, you'll be surprised to see what happened. I mean, the variety of creations is very innovative. It's a lot there. It's a lot of work there, and somewhere, somehow, they're trying to get different techniques, different colors, different style to get into our intention. But it goes back to one thing and only, it's about smell, flavors, textures.
Police are warning people not to fall victim to a bedroom tax internet scam. The email claims that the spare room subsidy known as bedroom tax was abolished in April, urging people to fill in a form with personal information. But police are warning that the information is incorrect and not to disclose any personal details. A household recycling centre in Winterton is to close for nearly a month for a £650,000 refurbishment. It closes on Friday, June the 27th, and reopens on July the 21st, but North Lincolnshire Council have reassured residents that similar centres will remain open. To find out where the nearest alternative is, visit their website. Police are looking for witnesses after a heavily pregnant woman was seriously assaulted in Belton. The 25-year-old woman, who was 7 months pregnant, was rushed to Scunthorpe General Hospital with potentially life-threatening injuries, but her condition has now stabilised. The baby was delivered and is in a critical but stable condition. Police arrested a 28-year-old man on Bristol Road in Scunthorpe shortly after the incident on Wednesday. A local team are gearing up to make waves on the UK powerboat scene as UK Championship teams take to the Humber this weekend. The Hull Speed Ahead team race 9 of the fastest boats in the country, followed by the Aqua X jet ski race in what promises to be a huge spectacle for the city. It's hosted a race for the last 4 years, but looks in danger of losing its place on the circuit because of funding issues last year. But local businesses have rallied together to sponsor the event, which they believe will shine a positive spotlight on Hull ahead of the City of Culture 2017.
It's amazing that the whole businesses have pulled together and the money they've found. I mean, the people who've basically pulled it from the ashes. Last year as well. I mean, it's in this time, supposed to be in a recession. It's brilliant. It's brilliant for the area.
It's just drawing attention to the area, the estuary, the lot. And we've got obviously, the City of Culture as well. And it's just up and up and up. So the more, we can do on raising the profile on Hull, the better really.
It's just on the up. Everything's looking positive for Hull, so hopefully Hull Speed Ahead will push forward, even up to the City of Culture year if we can.
And finally, could you be a forever family for a child in need? North East Lincolnshire Council is currently looking for adoptive families for 19 children in the area. Some of these are sibling groups, desperate not to be split from their brothers or sisters. So if you could make a difference to these children's lives, contact the council's adoption team, or to find out more before making the decision, you can go along to an information day at the Humber Royal Hotel this Wednesday or Kenwick Park Hotel on the 25th of June. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in today's bulletin. That's all from me. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
I'm joined by Jane Wenham White, the Chief Fundraiser for St Andrews Hospice here in Grimsby. Jane, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Hello.
Just before we start looking at the newspapers, what activities is St Andrews up to at the minute?
Well, we're always very, very busy, and we're always trying to start new things and to develop the services we provide at the hospice. This year is a particularly challenging year and very, very exciting because we've been operating a hospice in the local North East Lincolnshire area now for 35 years, and our current facilities, which were the old Courtall's Social Working Men's Club, have now got beyond repair. The maintenance costs are absolutely huge. And so for the last 7 years, we've been talking to people in the local community, our volunteers, professionals, to look at ways we actually can develop our services to meet the demands of the local community for the next sort of 20 years. And we've been sort of holding off on sort of having an appeal, if you like, to actually develop the service and to actually make the new building happen. But it got so bad in the end, we decided we're going to have to bite the bullet and actually go for it and actually start the new build.
So are you staying at the same site? Are you?
We're staying at the same site, but we're actually developing we're keeping the Children's Hospice, which the local community funded 11 years ago now, I can't believe it. And we're actually building sort of around the Children's Hospice, so that so many of the services will be joint as they are now, but in a physical building, so there'll be one reception area, for example. And we're increasing the number of adult beds from 8 to 12, so that's by 50%.
And St Andrews Hospice is a terribly popular charity in North East Lincolnshire, in this part of the Humber.
Yes.
Well, and is it because it's so very specifically local?
I think, we're one of only a handful of truly local charities that haven't got a head office elsewhere. And I think so many people, in particular with the adult hospice, have actually had experience of actually had somebody who's actually benefited from the services of the hospice. And I think we are, thankfully, very close to the community's heart.
Very well. Let's have a look at the newspapers. What's caught your eye?
Well, they're all good news stories because I'm quite a positive person. I have to be in my job.
Quite right too. Very cheerful.
The first one actually is page 2 of the Grimsby Telegraph yesterday about Tetney's Ella Henderson. She's released her first single, Ghost it's called, and it's already sort of topped the charts on iTunes. Of course, it's all the new thing out. It used to be top of the pops in my day, but
yes,
now it's iTunes.
Changed.
And just, it's really nice. I think there's several other stories I've picked out as well of young people doing so well.
Yes.
For themselves.
A very
creatively.
generation.
Absolutely, yes. So it's really nice to see that Ella's doing so well, and she said she's got a crazy feeling actually hearing her own record. It must be very, very strange indeed. But
have you heard the record?
I haven't, no.
Okay, well, I think in that case this afternoon we should get straight onto it.
Absolutely, yes.
And she's from Tetney in
That's right, in
Lincolnshire.
Tetney, yeah.
I think that was, this is not entirely relevant, but that coincidentally for great creative influences in Lincolnshire, that was the home village of Lord Tennyson.
It was indeed, yes, yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's a very lyrical song then.
Yes, absolutely. We sold 78,000 copies so far, so
well,
pretty good, isn't it?
That's got to be good news, yeah. Next was the
Grimsby Telegraph. Yeah, today's Telegraph. Again, a story actually about Ella again, but also saying that apparently she's in the race for her single with Rick Mail, who recently died, sadly.
Yes.
He's got a single called Noble England, apparently, that's also been recently released. And but it's very, very sad loss of him. I remember watching him in The Young Ones all those years ago.
I know, yes.
A great
I
comedian.
never thought it was funny. Is there something wrong with me?
I think there's something wrong with you.
No, I was
too young, Ricky. That's what you think.
No, certainly
not your
I'm
generation.
No, perhaps I was too old even then. But I always liked him as Alan Bastard.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
But I always thought it was a very admirable way of performing politics, the way he did it. But anyway, yes. Again, we've got a musical genius in the region. Yep. And further in the Grimsby Telegraph, again.
Yes, this is lovely. It's Graham Fellows, aka John Shuttleworth.
I know him, yes, absolutely.
Who lives in Louth, and he opened a new carers centre. It's Carers Week this week, and we've been doing a lot of work at the hospice, pampering carers and looking after them generally because they are unsung heroes, of course.
Yes.
And without people looking after their own, this country would be in a come it's very socially isolating, and it's just nice to be able to actually celebrate what they do and give them a bit of a break and a bit of respite.
And what's he been?
There's a new service that's been developed in Grimsby, a carer support service. Basically, it's the telephone service, opportunity for people to get out of the house, see something different from their own four walls, and get support from qualified staff.
Now, as in his persona as John Shuttleworth, I think he is an unsung musical genius.
Oh, yeah.
There is no greater master of the Yamaha organ, is there?
Well, I mean, a very funny story. I went to Mablethorpe Cinema many years ago, and he was showing a film that he directed called Southern Softies. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
The whole thing was a surreal experience. They served Lambrini as we walked in,
right.
and then topped us up half an hour later. It was very surreal, very, very surreal indeed. But it's nice. He's, you know, obviously. He obviously has a lot of time for this sort of thing, and it was really, really nice to see him actually, you know, contributing to something such a good news story.
Excellent. Well, good to have a bit of publicity in the region.
Yeah.
Another one from the same paper.
Yes, I had to select this one. It's on page 14 of today's Telegraph, and this is the Great Bike Challenge that took place in Freshley Place, which I participated in and raised, I think, £160 for.
Right.
It's actually in aid of St Andrews Hospice, also Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Okay.
And it was organised with Freshley Place, and we had 4 teams. And cycling, and sadly we came last. We were actually when I started, I was one of the first cyclists. When we started, 2 guys had gone ahead of me, and we were actually in first place. But by the time I finished, we were lagging behind. Sadly,
you were the weak link
I was
in the
the
chain.
weak link indeed,
This is
yes.
not going to be any competition for the Tour de France coming through the region.
No, absolutely not.
But
It was a great event, and obviously being in Freshley Place, very, very public,
Yes.
and people were very, very generous putting money in the buckets. We haven't got a final amount yet, but I'm sure we'll raise a goodly amounts. Thank you everybody who supported it.
Be in the thousands, you hope.
I hope so, yes.
Very good. Okay. You had one from the from Market Raisin, I think.
I've got several from Market Raisin. I've got the front page here, which is a lovely story, and obviously close to my heart, we've got the only children's hospice in Lincolnshire, in Grimsby. Market Raisin girl, Claudia, who she actually had a charity called Claudias Claus, and they've just received notification that she's no longer terminal. So obviously she's still a very poorly girl, but she's not terminal. So
rather reverses the definition of the word terminal, doesn't it?
It does, but I think
with being terminal.
Yes, I think with modern day advances, you know, we've had some nice, happy stories as well, where children who were diagnosed as terminal, you know, we've had 1 or 2 that actually have things have been turned around for them because of medical advances, which is great.
And is her salvation has been a change in medicine, a change in medication?
I believe so. Yes, a change in treatment. She's actually suffered some brain damage because of the chemotherapy.
Right.
But you know, she's going to live, which for a parent must be.
Well, but this, I mean, of course it is absolutely fantastic, but this is one of those situations in which the treatment is sometimes more harmful than the disease itself, isn't it?
It can be, yes.
Chemotherapy can be rather horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's with anything. I think, you know, many people make the decision not to have it because of the side effects of the treatment. But I guess the little girl, she's what, I don't know, 8 years old.
Well, that's a very happy story.
Yeah,
That's always
it is
good.
indeed, yeah.
And one more story, I think, possibly 2. What have you?
Oh
what
well,
else have you found from
I just love all the fundraising stories in these local newspapers. It warms my heart, the fact that people are so generous in this locality.
Yeah, I can see a theme running through the
It's
stories.
the theme, isn't it? Yes. And this is a story about good old Tesco's corporate social responsibility. They've given £4,000 to Market Raisin Primary School to actually pay for the refurbishment of a roof over a pool. So I thought that was a really nice
Excellent.
story.
Well, that's very good of Tesco's.
It is, yeah.
Tesco's there was a point a few years ago where something like £1 in 8 pounds spent in the United Kingdom was spent at Tesco's. It was a significant chunk of the economy. No longer the case. It's not been doing so well recently.
No, I think Aldi and Lidl are giving them a run for their money.
Yeah.
You know, with you know, times are hard and people are looking to get more for the money. So
well, in that case, all kinder of them to buy a new swimming pool roof.
Yes. Well, it's nice to see what companies actually really kind of, you know, actually walking the talk, if you like, about corporate social responsibility. There's a lot of talk about corporate social responsibility, but sometimes it can seem to be piecemeal.
Are there corporate donors to St Andrews?
I'll have to say most of our, we do have actually one recently, a significant donation, pledged at 22,500 from Crystal Pigments, which towards the new appeal for the redevelopment, so that's fantastic.
Good for them. Jane, thank you very much for coming in. We must stop there.
My pleasure, thank you.
That's all we have time for this time. If you have a story for us, please email news@estuary.tv or contact us via our Twitter or Facebook pages, or give us a call on 01472 31 5561. Until next time, goodbye.